What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Well, that's it. Crates have landed. People have landed. The Dakar organization has sent out its initials. Everything is just underway. So we're talking about the 2026 Dakar Rally coverage, and it starts today. We're going to have the prologue event a little bit later today, and the rest of the rally begins. It's 2 weeks that these guys have signed up for, and it is going to be absolutely wild. So if you're looking at the Dakar Rally as a whole, they've got a few different things this year that are a little bit newer, where they're going to be doing roughly about an 8,000 kilometer event across 14 days of rally with one rest day in there. So 13 competitive stages. You've got a prologue stage, which is set to kick off in a few hours. And then on top of that, you've got 2 marathon stages that they are doing, or refuge stage, where they're going to travel away or race away from crews, spend the night. They have to fix their own mistakes. They have to fix their own damage, and then turn around and race to the next stage or race to the next bivouac. You're going to do that twice. Normally it was once in the event. It could be first or second week, typically first week. This year they're going to do 2 of those things, one in week 1 and one in week 2. In addition to that, but wait, there's more. They've got a 900 kilometer mega stage that these guys are going to have to do. And so there's absolutely wild 720 miles roughly, if the math is correct, that they're going to have to do in a single sitting. I don't know. I've ridden 300 miles in a day on an adventure bike. Let's be perfectly clear about that. So these guys are going to have to do that, plus race another 300 to 400 miles in open desert in the Saudi Arabia terrain that, well, it's not a walk in the park. Between sand dunes, between rocks, between canyons, things that I personally always thought that, okay, well, Saudi Arabia, sand dunes everywhere. But you see some of the stuff that they've had to ride through even a few years ago in these big canyons when they had all the rainfall. Just that was never the Saudi Arabia that I knew, that I had seen, that I had imagined. And when you talk to people about that, I remember having a conversation with Skyler Howes about it, and that stage, that was one of those days that it just made sense. Everything just was there. So really, really interesting to see how the terrain this year is going to develop. They know the information. They know what we're going to do. It's not the same event every year. And competitors know that. You have all of these stages. Every stage is going to change. It's going to be different every single year. Even if it's to the same location, as long as there's sand dunes or something involved with that, the terrain has absolutely changed. I mean, sand dunes will change every hour. They will change every day. They will change every few minutes. Depends on how strong the wind is. So what once was one way through is now not the way through, and could be even a bigger dune now, or it could be a hole on the other side. There's so much varying that happens when you bring the sand into the mix. This year's Dakar is going to be basically a loop or a clover leaf in some cases, where this time they're going to be traveling out and back out of Yanbu. Rest day is going to be in Riyadh for them halfway through the event, and then they're going to be finishing again on the Red Sea. So that makes it, I think, logistically a little bit easier. Last year we were looking at that, and while you would arrive in one part of the country, then you would have to go to the other side of the country to travel out of. So it was not an easy logistical thing to do. So I'm sure for a lot of teams and the people that plan the logistics around it, this is much better situation for them. So you've got a lot going on with this, and then there's more. On top of that, the organization we know has been working on trying to slow speeds down and trying to make things a little bit more complex, right? The introduction of, the airbags, making those mandatory, the digital road book, the now handing out the road books or activating the road books because they're digital at 5 minutes before they're designated to leave is absolutely wild. You can see that the organization is committing a lot of resources to leveling the playing field, making it so that everybody has the same exact information and doesn't have an outright advantage. Having somebody thousands of miles away looking at paper road books ahead of the event ahead of the day's stage, trying to piece together, trying to figure out where they can cut, where they can do, where they could save themselves that precious time. And so we saw this years ago where the Dakar stopped competitors, pulled their road books looking for notes, and actually penalized people for basically short coursing the route. Now, if you got lost and did that, well, I mean, you got lost and did it. But now they're trying to make sure that everybody has a level playing field, or they've leveled the playing field, making sure that nobody has an outright advantage and everybody is on the same page. But on that page is going to be some interesting stuff. I'm going to put the graphic on the screen here that says, that talks about a little bit about those notes. You'll see the 3 notes that are on the screen. This is from the stage briefing, or the event briefing from the Dakar organization on this. And I want to look at this first note that you guys can see here, 107.53.48. So 107 kilometers, 107.53 kilometers into the stage, 0.48 from the last note in the book. You have a track you're following. And remember, with road books, you always read it from the bottom. The center note is from the bottom. You enter into this from the bottom part of the box. Quit principal piece. So you're going to quit the main track and you're going to cut across. Now, notice there's no cap heading on this. So they're not telling you specifically which way you should be pointing. But what they are telling you is that you can see the little black dot with a line right next to one of the very first arrows, and that's the 107.53 point. Then you're going to add another 70 meters. There's going to be a road that you jump across, and then at another 250 meters, you're going to pull off that and move and continue on the road book. So where this previously would have been 2, maybe 3 notes total, it is now just a single note. So there's plenty of opportunity just in this, basically 320 meters that things could change for them. So this is a really interesting way that they're doing it. They have the 122.91 and 068 note over on the side. This one actually has an actual cap heading, cap calculated in this case, with a 300 meter jaunt that you're going to be doing across multiple roads. Now, the note complexity, obviously, is what we're seeing here, has gone up, and it is making it even more difficult considering that you have multiple tracks that you're going to have to cross, which means every one of those, especially if you're at the front of the field, could make it really, really challenging and really, really easy to pick the wrong one. So a lot going on there. 121.87035. Looks like we've got a cap of 13. So you see where they enter, and then you're going to drop through a wash, exit that wash, get back onto what it looks like a trail or a road, and then quit that. And all of that's going to happen in roughly about 170 meters. You're going to do that. So again, they're making it. This note is actually, I think, probably a little easier than the other one at 122.91. The 107.53 probably a little bit easier, but still, it's going to add to some confusion. But pile on top of that, the fatigue. Pile on top of that, the rider, maybe being flustered from a previous note. There's a lot that can happen in just that short amount of time. So you may not have all 6 senses when you get to this note, and what was once, or what was supposed to be, a simple navigation is now a very complex thing. So curious to see how this fares for most of them. Again, this has been going on now for a little bit. It's not like it's new for this Dakar, but they are highlighting the long distance note side of it in their event briefing. So that's going to be interesting to me. And should be interesting to everybody. I think that's going to be an interesting challenge for everyone. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about what is going on. I think the 2 biggest things, obviously we've got a lot of competitors. You've got Ricky Brabeck, Skyler Howes, You've got Jacob Argybright, who traded the 2 wheels for 4 wheels and is going to be navigating. Seth Quintero in the class as well, with, of course, Dakar veteran, bike veteran Andrew Short navigating for him. So that's going to be awesome in the Toyota T1 Plus. And then you've got, let's see, out of Australia, of course, we had Daniel Sanders, who is back, Chucky. So a lot of speed, not afraid about, backing it down when it gets rough. Very, very smart. And well, he knows exactly how high that top step is on the Dakar podium. So previous event winner. So looking to see how they do there aboard the KTM. Let's see, out of South Africa, I've got my notes here. Out of South Africa, you've got Bradley Cox. Bradley Cox, long time KTM, competitor, working with them, son of Alfie Cox. Alfie Cox also KTM through and through. But this time around, Bradley's going to be riding the Sherco Rally factory bike. So kind of an interesting change there. We'll see how that progresses. Michael Daugherty in the privateer class out of South Africa. Of course, United States, we talked briefly about it. So you've got Ricky Brabeck, Monster Energy Honda. Skyler Howes, Monster Energy Honda there. Brandon Krause, privateer entry out of the KTM camp, is at the Dakar this year. His first Dakar. Of course, legend Paul Krause, his father, out of the KTM camp. 990 days, the big bore, big adventure bike, Dakar Rally. Very, very awesome to see that. One of the, I believe, winner as well of the Dakar Rally. So correct me if I'm wrong. The comments are down there. So then the other one, the other side of this, and there was 2 main kind of things that I was looking at, is you've got Preston Campbell in the Rally 2 category on a Honda factory, I should say kind of a factory effort, but it is a Rally 2 entry. Now, my understanding is that the Dakar was pushing the main factory teams to have basically a feeder program or have a Rally 2 entry in addition to their Rally Pro entries. And so I think that helps promote bringing people up from a Rally 2 standing up to a Rally Pro. I don't know that the riding, other than experience, the riders, it could be a swap. You could put them in a Rally Pro category and have them perform probably just as well. And we're going to find out, because the Dakar Rally, really, yes, there are categories, but the majority of what we see as far as results go, it's an overall side of things. So interested and curious to see how Preston Campbell does aboard the Honda as he works his way through the Rally 2 category in probably another year or so in Rally Pro, depending on what happens on the Honda HRC factory team in the Rally Pro side of things. So will they bring another bike aboard? Will they continue to do the Rally 2 thing? We'll find out. So Preston, if you've followed him racing here in the U.S., obviously son of Johnny Campbell, Baja legend and racing legend, and still very, very closely tied with the Honda Rally team here in the United States and helping them develop the bike that you see now in Saudi. So very curious to see how he performs out there. He's already done some international rallies. He's already fared really well on the bike. So obviously he's not a stranger to the Hondas. That is a known platform. But let's talk about a little bit about a kind of an unknown platform and something that there's a precedent for it. And let's talk a little bit about the Hoto that Mason Klein will be racing at the 2026 Dakar Rally. So very interesting looking bike. Hoto, Red Camel. That's roughly, I'm probably not pronouncing the Hoto part correctly. But nevertheless, it's meaning Red Camel. And I have a tough time figuring out how developed this frame and how developed this bike as a package is. I did a lot of research yesterday trying to find out, where did this bike come from? and it's not really a known, I should say, is not really a known manufacturer. Now, I believe the origin out of Chongqing in China is, and again, forgive my pronunciation, that's like the Silicon Valley here in California, right? You have manufacturers of chips, you have software, you have everything in this one location. So in China, it's roughly the same thing. As you have in all this location, you have CF Moto, you have a lot of these big manufacturers of, I need a frame made to my design. I'm going to go over there. I need a motor, a white label motor, and for those of you that maybe don't know this, is a white label motor is just simply a motor that's manufactured with no particular brand in mind, and then it is labeled. So this could be something like, for instance, BMW, or it could be KTM. It could be any of the major manufacturers. They do the same. As now, where other countries have focused in innovation and creating new products and pushing that envelope, my opinion is that China has really, really focused on the means of production and producing things in a relatively cost-effective manner, repeatable manner, and really just focusing on that side of it, innovating manufacturing processes, trying to make things quickly and more efficiently, rather than creating something new out of thin air. So companies will do that. They will create something, designed in Austria, made in China, designed in the US and made in China, designed in Germany and made in China, or something like that. There's a lot of this that goes on, and that maybe us as consumers may not know that. So we'll see. I think some of us have figured it out. I'm going to go slightly political here. Some of us have figured that out when it comes to paying tariffs on something that we've ordered from a European country, and then having to pay an extremely high tariff because of its actual country of origin. So it remains to be seen. Again, the Hoto being a platform, a new platform, only 1 year old. Their last Dakar was last year. So it's a new platform that Mason is going to help. Basically, he's going to put it to the test. We've known from the Covey side of the house, when competing with them, that he is very, very capable of pushing the machine to a level that even sometimes engineers were not expecting. And so that makes it, I'm going to say, it makes it challenging for the engineers. It makes it challenging for the riders, because the riders want the top spot. The engineers want the top spot. But as we know, sometimes on paper things look good, but then actually out in the desert, it's going to be a whole nother story. So will be interesting to see how it is. The Hoto, it looks like it from last year and this year, it seems like it's based on a KTM or Austrian drivetrain package, and then their own frame wrapped around it. The frame, from what I've gathered from the limited pictures that I've seen, it looks like it's got some KTM-ish ladder frame design. Now, this kind of goes back to what we just talked about, is that, well, they may know, like, they could have gotten a KTM frame, measured out the chassis, and said, okay, I like this, but I don't like this. So they didn't design it from the ground up, but they modified it based on the things that they want. And now, it's not like we haven't heard of KTM. It's not like we've not seen the KTMs on the podiums and dominate this event for years. So if you were going to pick a target, if you were going to pick something to model off of, well, KTM is kind of the one to do it, because obviously it's been a proven platform. It's been a competitive platform, and there's been a lot of development on that chassis, and especially the ladder frame style, where the newer style, their MX frame, which fully wraps around the engine. Obviously that's a newer development, but we'll see. The majority of the RFRs, or Rally Factory replicas, that are available right now in the market are still the older ladder frame, as the new style is starting to trickle out. I believe KTM has been pushing that a little bit more and trying to get those bikes out into the wild. But with a, you know, 30,000 plus euro price tag, obviously there's not a line out the door. So I don't know. Well, remains to be seen on that one, but really curious to see how Mason does aboard the Hoto. Again, very, very new chassis. Let's see how that develops. So from there, we've got Nacho Cornejo back again on the Hero Motorsports. Adrian Van Beveren also on the Honda factory team, back again. And Adrian obviously has been on the podium. Obviously, he's a competitive rider. He's been riding this event for many, many years. And I think just like him, you know, Adrian, I know Ricky Brabeck, Skyler Howes, you know, the Honda team has got a really stacked thing. You've got Edgar Canet on the KTM as well. You know, you've got Chucky, Daniel Sanders. That top 5-6 riders makes it pretty difficult to predict. Like, if I was to make a prediction right now, I think Skyler Howes is overdue for the podium, top podium spot. Now we're talking about the top podium spot. I think Skyler Howes is overdue. Ricky Brabeck, as I mentioned, like Daniel Sanders earlier, he knows exactly how high that first step is now twice. And then, of course, Daniel and Edgar. Edgar Canet is kind of new to this, but he has proven that he has the speed and can navigate. So that's going to be interesting. You know, Mason on an unproven platform, and I only say that because it's only 2 years into the event, and we don't know a lot about this manufacturer. You know, these are people that I think should be on the podium. But who's going to win it? Way too early to tell. And the talent pool for that top spot is kind of only really getting bigger. It's not shrinking down. You're not losing competitive riders and bringing in riders that are new. You've got veterans that are staying. You've got people that are coming back, maybe 1 or 2 Dakars, or not only that, but they've actually competed outside of the Dakar Rally and are coming in with a really, really strong focus and with a resume that says, yeah. From there, let's see. We've got David Brock, a Rally 2 entry. We're going to be keeping an eye on him. Let's see. Ross Branch, of course, Hero Motorsports, another guy that knows how tall that first step is, or is that top spot on the podium is. And so, you know, again, that's what I just said, is this, the talent pool for this Dakar is just getting bigger and bigger. So we'll see there. Going through my notes here. So let's see. One of the things, and as this timing is coming through for it looks like the start times are coming through for the prologue here, which we'll talk about in another episode. I'll not go so far into the prologue here in the preview episode. So from there, let's see, what do we got? So one of the things we know. So speaking of the prologue, so with the prologue, you're qualifying. So competitors will go out, they'll post their time. They're not making the prologue easy this year. I mean, it never really is easy, but it is designed to be a little bit tricky. You're going to have the prologue stage. It will set you back. You can start off on the wrong foot on the prologue. It may not kill your rally unless you're completely irresponsible or you just have that one-off, just super horrible, you know, out of nowhere, you know, bike off or something. You know, obviously, if you're on a motorcycle, it doesn't take much. In the vehicles are pretty proven. It's not like it's one of those super critical. It's not as dangerous and detrimental as it is on a bike. I mean, that's, you know, you could break an arm and still limp into the finish line. If you break an arm on a bike, it's a much, much more difficult task. And a much easier task to complete, in the sense of, you know, an off with a bad landing could cause an injury bad enough to not even be able to make it to the end of the prologue. So a lot of these guys will probably be playing it safe for the top 10 in the field, it means that they can pick their start position for the next day's stage, which is going to be an interesting thing to see who jumps up. You know, Mason previously jumping up and picking to be the first one to lead out. We'll see, you know, if somebody else joins that or maybe fights for that position. I don't think so. It's not normally a thing that people are signing up for. Yeah, I'll lead the event on the first day. You know, trying to remember that particular day. I don't think it was on the first day. It was on one of the previous or one of the stages into the event. But nevertheless, the idea is that you can set yourself up for success, or you can lead off on the wrong foot and cost yourself just in the prologue stage. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but definitely the Dakar is not designed really to break you on the prologue. It's designed to break you on day 8, right before, right after the rest day. You know, even though you've gotten your senses back and you've focused and refocused, there's a debt to be paid, and that's sleep, that's rest, that's the body recuperating, that's the bike. You know, it's definitely an interesting challenge, we should say. So, all right, let's take a look back and see what else do we got. So this year, just to kind of give you guys a rundown. So the plan is this year, what we're going to be doing, covering this. So we've got the prologue that goes down, and then for the stages, we'll talk about stage results. We'll talk about the stage preview, and then we'll bring you some of the highlights. So I'll do a quick plug in there for these guys. You've got the Dakar Daily podcast with Quinn Cody and Jesse Ziegler that's also doing coverage on the Dakar Rally. They are going to be doing a lot more rider interviews and talking more about the event in depth as it pertains to riders and just the event in general. So if you guys are looking for a little bit more information, I'll tag them down below. You guys can also check their channel out as well. Again, we'll be doing more of the high level stuff, doing the results. We'll talk a little bit about the stage previews and commentary on that side of things, and then plug in some headlines in there. So I hope that's more or less what you guys are looking for. We are limited on time. We've got to do this before the workday starts. So we're hoping the organization does what they say they're going to do and releases the information on the stages early in the morning. So just to give you guys an idea on timing and what that looks like. So right now it is 6 o'clock in the morning here in California. It is in Yanbu currently. It is 5:08 p.m. So they're 11 hours ahead of us, so to speak. So the easy math is you take 1 hour away and then you just switch it for PM. So roughly about this time is when they are going to be releasing. Supposedly they're going to be releasing the documentation for each stage, which is what we use for our stage previews to determine, you know, how spicy the day's stage is going to be. So we'll be looking forward to that. We will likely not see until tomorrow morning. I believe we will see the stage preview. So for stage number 1, again, you've got the prologue getting ready to kick off here a little bit later today. So looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good rally. I think it's going to be a difficult rally for a lot of people, but you know, that's the Dakar Rally. You don't sign up for the Dakar Rally because it's your typical, you know, Sturgis rally that you're just going to ride to the event, do some rides around there on the road. It is absolutely not the same thing. You've got a lot of guys there that are poised and ready, that will definitely put together a strong rally. So it makes it difficult to predict, you know, who's going to be up, who's going to do stuff, who's going to make a splash. You know, I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. We'll be keeping an eye. You know, definitely want to keep an eye on the Coves as they continue to evolve. Everybody on that new EX 450 rally from them. So it's the newer design bike. You've got them also in the privateer category. You have the originals by Motul. There's a lot going on. And then on the vehicles, you know, I want to keep up with Seth Quintero this year. We'll keep up with Jacob Argybright and some of our guys in the SSV category as well, you know, on the Can-Am factory team. It's going to be an interesting event. So I hope you guys are staying tuned. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff and help us continue to grow. We are back. It is the 2026 Dakar Rally. We've got a lot coming. Remember, this is just the Dakar Rally here in North and South America, I'm going to say now. We've got the Sonora Rally that's coming up, which is one of the feeder events that does work with the ASO in helping people get to the Dakar Rally, including the Dakar Dream program. They did the Road to Dakar previously and continue to do so. So they have a way for riders to go from the Sonora Rally into the Dakar Rally. You've got that one. You've got SoCal Rally coming up here in California. You've got Baja Rally at the end of the year. You've got the Bluegrass Rally, a new rally coming up. You've got Camino de Colonos down in South America. There is a lot of rallies going on, and it's continued to grow. It's growing slowly and slowly. So don't forget, if you've got questions or anything like that, drop them in the comments. Here we go. Let's get it done. So remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.